Hi, are you wanting to build a better relationship with your stepchild, but finding it impossible to do? In fact, your relationship has deteriorated and they're a teenager or somebody in their early 20s, and you feel it should be possible for you to make it better. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, and I'll let you know every time I post. What can you do to improve relationships with your stepchildren? And so often things can start off okay and seemingly be all right, and then after a little while things just get worse and worse and deteriorate. Often in situations like this, step-parents blame themselves. They think they could do things differently, or they've allowed the relationship to deteriorate, or if the relationship was good to begin with, why can't that continue now? But I would argue that there's a lot that can impact a step-parenting relationship that is nothing to do with the step-parent or how they're behaving or what they're doing. Because when you have a young adult growing up and they're your stepchild, it's quite often the case that they're in their teenage years. Those, if you remember back for yourself, are incredibly difficult years. They're times when you're transitioning from home, when you're quite angry with what's at home, because that's why you get the energy to leave, and bursting out into the world that you think is going to be a panacea of bliss, where you're going to be able to do what you want, earn your own money, live in your way you want to live, and you're going to have your friends and relationships and everything's going to fall into place. But it doesn't happen like that, does it? So a lot of young people are facing setbacks when they're in their teenage years and early 20s. Jobs don't work out for them, relationships don't work out, disappointments with first boyfriends and girlfriends and relationships generally. Friendships are difficult, living alone is difficult, organising yourself is difficult. Everything is more difficult. And when you're faced with this, you often hit out at things that you can afford to hit out against. And that is often you, the step-parent. If their parents are divorced, or if there's been a bereavement, then the teenager is also coping with massive changes at home. And with that comes grief. So my feeling on this is that it's very easy for step-parents to take responsibility for the relationship deteriorating and wanting to build the relationship back up again, when actually that is jolly difficult to do. And it's not about you, the step-parent, who you are, or what you're doing, or how you're behaving. Sometimes there's nothing you can do to repair the relationship, except for acknowledge that it's the young person who is going through a difficult transition in their lives, and if you hold on in there and remain on friendly terms and as respectful as possible, things will pass. Or sometimes step-parents aren't even allowed access to the child at this time. They refuse to speak to you. They cut off relations. They don't come and visit. After all, they're usually free enough to be able to decide whether to come and visit you or not, and they choose not to. There's not a lot you can do in that situation, except for to realise that they're going through a difficult phase. If you do have access to your stepchild, what could you do? Well, I've often thought about this, and I think that the thing that you can do, if you can, and if you got access, is show the stepchild that you understand that they're going through a very, very difficult phase of their lives, where it's extremely difficult to establish yourself as an independent person in life going forwards, and really help them see that you understand their situation by labelling it, by describing it. You know, jobs are difficult, aren't they? Living on a budget is difficult, isn't it? Living in rented accommodation that isn't your own is difficult. Renting with friends is problematic. Friends are problematic, aren't they? And explain how you understand exactly what they're going through. And then possibly offer them some kind of help, preferably not financial, but physical help, to just a bit of advice about how to get over their latest issue or problem. That way, you can sometimes build a relationship with your stepchild, and they can feel you at least understand them and understand the predicament they're in. Step-parents say to me, how could I build my relationship with my stepchild? The thing is to remember it's not about you, and it's not always possible for you to do that building. But if you understand that for yourself, then maybe you can have the patience and tolerance to just bide your time and wait for things to get better of their own accord, and therefore you don't destroy the relationship in the meanwhile. You just know to wait. We run workshops, sessions, an email response service, and we write booklets. You can find links to our social media and website in the description box below.